Hey everyone, it's Victoria with Nutrition by Victoria. I have a Master's of Science degree in Human Nutrition, and I specialize in helping you to build a high-functioning metabolism to get effortlessly slim, lean, fit, and most importantly, healthy for life, all while eating an unlimited amount of carbohydrates. That's what I've achieved for myself. That's what I'm here to help you do as well. Links for my coaching are in the description of this video. So I promote a high-carb, low-fat, plant-based vegan diet, but I can work with you even if your goal is not to be vegan. But of course, that's always something to strive for, as it's the most optimal way to eat that minimizes damage to your body and also to the planet, right? So, but most importantly, regardless of what your diet you subscribe to, we are all humans and we are subject to the fact that we are glucose dependent for energy production. So that means in order to thrive in life, we need to be consuming a sufficient amount of glucose from carbohydrates every single day. So where I differ from the majority of plant-based promoters, whether they're influencers or doctors, is that I promote an unlimited carbohydrate calorie diet that's high carb, low fat, sufficient in protein. Eat as much as you want, right? So somebody had asked me about Chef AJ and the people that she brings on her show, and what I have noticed is that they all subscribe to something that is similar, whether they're raw vegans or starch-based, right? Is that they all practice calorie restriction. So a lot of times when you get involved with like the high carb, low fat diet, you'll notice that there's 50-50 plates. There's strategic ways of under eating, right? So that you can lose weight. But this weight loss always comes at the expense of your metabolism and your health. The majority of women who promote 50-50 plates, for example, have low thyroid function, hypothyroidism. In Brooke Goldner's situation, she promotes a low carb vegan diet. So that's going to come with its own complications. Again, it's low calorie, it's low carb, it's going to slow the metabolism down. It's going to give the benefits that she promotes, right? Lowered inflammation due to the lack of sugar that's in the blood now, because there's a lot of fat included in the diet that she promotes. But you're just, I called it like hibernation for insulin resistance, right? So the insulin resistance is being created. So when somebody starts eating a bunch of carbohydrates again, they're going to end up symptomatic and blame the carbs instead of the insulin resistance that was created from the low calorie, the low carbohydrate calorie plus the high fat intake, right? So when it comes to your health and when it comes to your metabolism, it's largely dependent on whether you're insulin sensitive or you're insulin resistant. So insulin sensitivity is dependent on sufficient carbohydrate calories coming into the diet every single day that allows insulin to work efficiently. It comes in, does its job, and it leaves, all right? And that is also going to be created through a low-fat diet. So a high-carb, low-fat diet creates insulin sensitivity. Insulin resistance is created from calorie restriction, starvation, low-carb eating, a keto diet, right? Glucose starvation in any, regardless of what diet you subscribe to. Glucose starvation creates insulin resistance, as well as eating a high-fat diet. So when it comes to your health and figuring out who to follow, right? Which of these influencers should I follow? This person, recently I was asked about Dr. Joel Furman in my coaching group, and I watched the video that they had sent for about the first 5 minutes. And in that time, he was saying, eat good carbs and avoid bad carbs. Eat healthy fats and avoid bad fats, and eat healthy proteins and avoid bad proteins. And then to eat, you know, as little of the good stuff as possible, right? So we're focusing on nutrient density and caloric restriction. And again, it's a calorically restrictive diet, and we're not managing the ratios of the macronutrients in the diet. We're just saying, hey, this is a healthy food, so eat it, right? Even though they said avoid processed foods, but then they referenced chickpea pasta in the video, and I'm like, that is a processed food. Anyways, so it's important to understand that nutrient density of a food, of your diet, is important. We are dependent on consuming food that contains the micronutrients that we need in order to function optimally as well. But micronutrient intake really is secondary to meeting our carbohydrate needs. And why is that? Because in order to run our cellular machinery properly, we need to have sufficient glucose available in order to generate the energy that is necessary to do that, okay? Once that's established, now our system can better utilize all the micronutrients that are coming in through our food. And something else that's really important to understand is digestive functioning. I used to subscribe to this low calorie, high nutrient density diet. Back when I worked at a Whole Foods co-op in the supplement department. I remember specifically doing this. Having chia seeds, having flax seeds, only eating low glycemic fruits, eating lots of salads, and my digestion was the worst it was ever, other than being on like a low carb, high protein, including animal protein diet, because I had tried that as well. This low calorie, high nutrient density diet was equally horrendous for my digestion, and I was still like kind of at a standstill with my health because I was so glucose depleted. I was so just like I was starving myself of glucose because I wasn't eating enough carbohydrates. So my body wasn't efficiently utilizing the nutrients from all that nutrient dense food that I was eating. I was still low energy. I was very thin. And I was having complications with my digestive system as well as with having regular menstrual cycles. And why is that? Because I wasn't consuming enough carbohydrate. It's very, very simple when it comes down to it. So what I'm trying to teach here is that you really need to create a foundation of health primarily through the consumption of carbohydrate-rich plant foods, okay? Your fruits and your starches by default are the foods that are highest in carbohydrate, that are of a whole food source that you're going to find in nature, right? I also promote the consumption of refined sugar, adding those to your fruits and starches in order to increase the carbohydrate content of the meals and to promote satiety. Satiety is very dependent on eating enough fiber, but also eating enough carbohydrate. So I hope that this is making sense. But basically, Dr. Furman is just, cherry picking. Oh, this is a good carb. This is a bad carb. This is a healthy fat. This is a bad fat. And now, like he said that white rice was a bad carbohydrate, even though Asians have been eating white rice for a very, very long time and not suffering from any kind of health issues. In fact, traditional Asian cultures, that diet has had the highest, the people that have had the highest lifespan. Same with the Okinawans, who eat primarily sweet potatoes. So carbohydrates always end up getting demonized, even though they're the foundation of the diet, okay, of the human diet are carbohydrate-rich foods. So it's not about whether a carb is good or bad. It's about eating enough of them, okay? And people have been creating, flour products for a very long time as well. People have been eating starches for about the last 10,000 years, maybe even prior to that. And in the eating of those starch-based foods, they've been creating, processed starch foods from those starches. So it's important to understand that in the human body, a carbohydrate is a carbohydrate. A fat is a fat. A protein is a protein, and it doesn't matter what the source of it is, okay? Now, when it comes to fats, though, like I was talking about in my video yesterday that I did about Brooke Goldner, there is a difference in varying fatty acids, right? So ideally you want to minimize them all completely, but if you're eating a high carb, low fat diet that's completely omits overt fat foods like nuts, seeds, avocados, things like that in their isolated states, especially like seeds, right? Because seeds are going to come in berries and other foods that you're just going to eat and not even realize, like, not like intentionally like I'm eating a whole bunch of seeds, right? It's just coming from the food itself. You're going to end up meeting your omega-3 needs perfectly. So the problem is that most people eat their carbs with oils. Most people eat, a lot of fat in the form of oil and animal products, and they're eating fats that are more inflammatory. But in general, like I'm saying, we are designed to eat a high carb, low fat diet, and we don't need to be eating overt fat sources of food. It's not something that we would be seeking out in nature. We'd be seeking out fruits and starches because we can eat them whole or cook them, right? And they're available to us in our environment versus like seeds, for instance. Anyways, this video is kind of all over the place. I apologize. But what I'm trying to say is that for you to decipher who to follow, right, you first want to be indicating what is their diet, what kind of diet are they promoting. If it's not a high carb, low fat diet, that person does not understand how the human metabolism works, because we are glucose dependent creatures, meaning that we need to consume carbohydrate in order to generate energy. And if that's not the most important aspect of what that person is promoting with their protocol, then you want to look to somebody else as advice, okay? So a really good one actually is Medical Medium. I got asked to share my opinion about Medical Medium, Anthony Williams, and while I think a lot of his jargon is out there, I don't think it's very evidence-based at all. The diet that he promotes is a high-carb, low-fat one, and people are going to be experiencing healing results from that alone, if not that being the reason why they're getting the results that they are, okay? And the other important thing, so high carb, low fat needs to be prioritized, right? But also sufficient calories. Please run away from anybody who's promoting a diet of eating under 2,000 calories a day. A woman needs about 2,000 calories a day as a minimum. A man, 2,500 calories a day as a minimum. And you can go up from there. You can eat an unlimited amount of carbohydrates and stay slim and healthy, right? So what you want to use as a guideline to identify what to follow is this person promoting a diet that will create insulin sensitivity? And again, just to go over what is insulin sensitivity, it's going to be a carbohydrate calorie sufficient diet combined with a low fat intake, right? So if that's what that person's promoting, then good job, then they know what's up. If it's not, if it's carbohydrate insufficient, or if it's higher in fat intake, like a lot of the raw vegan stuff, then you can look at it more like dogma, because it's not metabolic, human metabolism science based, okay? That is it for today's video. I could keep rambling about this topic forever, but I just wanted to, help you guys kind of navigate that a little bit more. So leave any comments or questions down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.